My name is Vincent, and together with my co-founder Elliot, we will spend the next 5 minutes telling you about the future of the Web3 cookie. And specifically, Oasiis is the first user-centric wallet cookie that creates actionable insights for commerce. Wallets actually tell an extremely personal story about who we are. You can imagine that you may have, for instance, interacted with a smart contract belonging to a KYC-only Indian exchange. You're actually telling the world in a transparent manner you may be an Indian national. You may have been whitelisted for an artifact drop. You are transparently showing that you have a certain net worth because of the value of that NFT. Also, you're giving behavioral insights on taste in art, taste in fashion, brand preferences. Obviously, this is a goldmine for companies and platforms. However, there's a really serious issue if they want to start using this kind of data. We have developed a system and a culture where we do not allow apps, users, or regulators to just let us use that data without basic protections. We know that major browsers are banning third-party cookies exactly for these reasons. Users have collectively and overwhelmingly said they do not trust and do not buy from platforms if they don't know how their personal private data is being processed and used. And in Europe, we have GDPR with huge fines if personal data is not processed in the proper manner. So where do we see this market going? If we can solve how to sustainably use our wallet insights in an interesting commercial manner, it's a huge multi-billion-dollar opportunity. JP Morgan has predicted that the digital fashion collectible industry, so NFT fashion, will be a $50 billion market by the end of the decade alone. And this leaves out huge verticals such as art, gaming, music, etc. Typical e-commerce platforms spend 5 to 10% of revenue on marketing and acquisition. So you can imagine, you can do the math. It's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. However, at this point, platforms are not willing to take the risk. So let's look at what that would look at like now. So you may, go to an NFT platform and you connect a wallet. That company would then have to go and read your wallet data, process it. There may be personally identifiable information in there, and use that to create, sort of the Web2 targeting that we're used to, showing different products. There's personal data processing risks, and it's also very limiting. If we now switch to a more ideal solution where we have the basic protections we have come to expect, we're introducing it with Oasiis. The user still connects a wallet like we're used to, but when that connection happens, the user could get a browser extension notification showing that their data has been queried and how it's being used by this platform. The platform doesn't query the wallet directly. It uses our querying service, and we do the processing for them in a compliant manner, allowing the user to also opt out. Importantly, we also can use this querying service to aggregate multiple wallets, creating also a richer, more compelling service for companies to use personalized targeting.
Now, what do these actionable insights actually look like for merchants? So what we're building for merchants is an app which directly looks at boosting revenue based on these insights. So you can see without Oasiis, you would have no insights based on users whenever they're accessing your platform and connecting their wallet. So you can see there's an example of DressX, a merchant shop, and you can see a number of products which aren't actually have any relation to the customer's bank account, for example, or their wallet address. You can see there that they actually, if they're using Oasiis, they have specific insights based on their wallet around their purchasing power, which means you can put specific prices, around product positioning. Now, this is really, really powerful because it means the exact products that the customer is looking for. You also have compliance benefits because of the fact that you now are making sure that you're not using personal information. Now, what we're doing from a user perspective is allowing this optional browser plugin. Now, what this means is that the user can download this plugin and they can then easily have it on their browser, meaning that they can view all the transactions that the merchant is able to look at. They can understand and get notifications based on this, and equally they can set their preferences, meaning that they can choose whether or not this data is actually being shared with the merchant, meaning that they're getting control. Now, very importantly, in terms of our go-to-market, we needed to make sure that we are targeted and had a clear scope and ROI. So we're going to first be looking at Shopify merchants. And there is reason for this huge market, 1.7 million merchants, big investments into Web3, and already the biggest brands are using the platform. Also, we're having a really clear-cut ROI to start with. We're focusing on user price optimization. as it's a simple MVP build, a clear insight, and means that we can develop more insights on this as we go on. In terms of our business model, it's a very clear and simple, scalable SaaS product with a free trial period, and equally a quick installation, meaning that users can easily access it straight away. In terms of our traction, we are clearly having this land with merchants. We have Studio Comet, which we're working with, who is a Shopify partner. They have a number of connections to the Shopify network, and we've been speaking with them around their customers who have been trialing Oasiis and speaking about whether they'll use it, and they're very excited. And in fact, we have 7 merchants ready as design clients who want to use the product, including one NFT marketplace, which has a 4 million seed round. In terms of our team, we have over 30 years of experience across software and emerging technologies, 20 years working in startups, and over 8 years across the web3 and blockchain space. We're ex-Accenture, Capgemini, Invent, Antler, and equally have 2 amazing advisors from IHK Head of Cryptography, Vaneshri, and equally Michael from Concordium Blockchain. Thank you very much. Excited to hear your questions.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to the Q&A.
I have one question. You said the merchant has to use the app, right? So what in his behavior has to change that the adoption on the merchant side will work?
What do you mean by behavior?
What is different for him?
So from a merchant standpoint, now they're actually able to be using Oasiis and the data that we can aggregate on users, understand more about their user, and therefore have more tailored experience offered to the customer. It's
a very familiar experience for a merchant to use a Shopify plugin, right? They go on the Shopify store, they see increase your ROI by using, data from web3. 10-day free trial, risk-free, 30-second install. They see an increase in revenue, they pay.
And right now there's a massive gap. They have no way of actually leveraging the insights that they're getting from these wallet addresses. And it isn't ever then tailoring that for all the customers that are accessing their platforms.
Okay.
Guys, what do you see as the main data point again that gives you confidence that this is the right time for it? Because long term, definitely see that kind of wallet is my backpack and digital identity. But looking at it right now, relatively, the amount of data there that you can use meaningfully as a merchant is rather limited. So what kind of have you seen that gives you comfort that, okay, timing is right for a solution like this?
Yeah, good question. I think that's one of the biggest reasons we wanted to go with Shopify, is because they already have a number of players that are already using Web3 heavily. So they are native platforms, for example, NFT marketplaces that already are needing to get more insight on users that are very in the Web3 space. I think that's one reason we wanted to be very specific around there. I think also broadly, the trend that we're seeing is very much in relation to the privacy standpoint. So we are going to be the platform which actually is kind of preempting this change that we're seeing within the Web2 space about the fact that you are having to care more about privacy from a company standpoint, and actually allowing them to do this straight away by giving control back to the user from the get-go.
We actually have one of our design clients that built their own tooling because it wasn't available on the market. So that does show there is an increasing demand. If they can have the 30-second installed native to Shopify, and they can use, for instance, a customer's net worth on their wallet, knowing they have 3 ETH, and being able to tailor products that match that number, there is a business case for that.
Cool.
Hey guys, just following up on Axel's question, could you maybe verbally walk through what is the change in behavior for the actual end consumer here? Where did they get the kind of opt-in ability to, say, participate in what you're offering?
From a merchant standpoint, or more from the user standpoint?
User.
So, user, but I
via
the merchant.
So if the merchant, for example, we're using DressX as this example, if they, as a user, you would go onto the website and you would connect your wallet, you would get the same push notification that you would typically get from a cookie service. And when you get that, you would have to, accept terms, and you would also get a link to download the Oasiis browser plugin. Once you've downloaded that plugin, it's just an extension in your browser. And at that point, what happens is every time they're using your data, you're able to transparently see that. So it gives, complete transparency to how user data is being used. But what it also does is it allows you to be able to control that data. So you can go in, change your preferences, and choose what data organizations actually see about you. And that's incredibly powerful. No one is doing that at the moment. And as on-chain data becomes more and more transparent, it's really important we find ways that actually give users back control of their personal information.
No one can see they're reading your wallet. And importantly, this is not mandatory, right? It's optional. A lot of users will not download this plugin, but companies can rest assured they have this option, showing transparency, giving users control when they're using their data for personalized targeting.
Okay, cool. And what do you think is, so you kind of, in your example, you gave, let's say, the quantitative financial amount in a wallet. What do you think would be the next most sought after piece of data?
So I think one of the biggest things is about almost customer preferences. So your ability to be able to understand certain interests that they have, certain things that they bought in the past, and actually tailor not just on the price, but on their actual interests. So I think that's definitely one trend. Also, you can just understand and build up based on different activities that they've done, what other kind of brand partnerships you could go with as well. So it's also thinking less from a direct sell to the end consumer, but more just as a business, what are different opportunities I could be looking at as product tailoring or brand opportunities you could do for collaborations and stuff like that as well.